So let's start with this. You know the Dolphins very well. And, listen, you got, lucky. Aikman gave you everything. Size, arm, leadership, toughness. But a lot of times you get a Tua. He's not as big as you'd like. He doesn't have the big arm, and you got to kind of work around him. I look at this Miami offense and team and think, I feel kind of like there's a ceiling, but maybe I'm wrong, Jimmy. What do you see with the Dolphins?
Yeah, yesterday on Fox NFL Sunday, we were kind of doing a mid-season award, and I gave my award to Chris Greer, the general manager with the Dolphins. He has surrounded Tua with all the tools that he needs. He brought in Armstead, the left tackle. He brought in a couple of running backs from the 49ers. He brought in Tyreek Hill. They have got a lot of weapons offensively. Now, defensively, they have struggled at times this year, but, a year ago, they were pretty good on defense.
Yeah. I will say this, Jimmy, there's no teaching speed. They beat guys down. Yeah. They beat guys down the field a lot. Now let's talk Justin Fields. I see a little bit of Josh Allen where, this development process, Jimmy, year 2, you don't see the field like you do year 4. And sometimes he just takes off. But Jimmy, again, athletically, there's just not a lot of Justin Fields on the face of the earth from what I can see.
Yeah, if they can develop, the offensive line a little better, they're running the football pretty decent, but a lot of those numbers are Justin Fields running the football.
Right.
And he gets better as his accuracy throwing the football. They can be a weapon offensively. They can be exciting because, like you say, he's got tremendous talent.
Yeah, they're really a fun team to watch. So, Jimmy, coaches have certain methods or models. Like Pete Carroll has always loved young teams. He's a motivator and a teacher. And I've had players tell me this. When teams get older, sometimes with Pete, the stories and that relentless energy, it doesn't always land the same. But at USC in college, young teams, he can motivate. I watched Seattle this weekend. I thought they were going to be terrible, Jimmy. I thought they were going to be awful.
Yeah. Oh.
How surprised are you?
I'm shocked. Now, I'm not shocked about Pete Carroll because he's an outstanding coach. And like you say, he can motivate that football team. He can bring them together to where, they're all working and getting better. As the year goes on, they've gotten better every single week. The surprise is Geno Smith.
Yeah.
I mean, really, he was a perennial backup. And so a lot of people took a look at him and said, hey, he's not our guy. And Pete looked at him, and I heard this, from Alonzo Highsmith, who was working with the Seahawks a year ago. He said that a lot of the players bought into Geno last year. He started 3 games. I think he might have won 1 or so. But the other players rallied around Geno a year ago, and so Pete had a little bit of a inkling there that, hey, this guy might be better than what we thought.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he was drafted high. He's a big, strong kid. You saw him yesterday take off a couple of times. He can move.
Right.
How concerned are you that Buffalo, this is 4 years now, they don't have a run game? There's no nuance to this offense. It's big plays or nothing. Does that concern you?
It concerns me a little bit, but they're a pretty good defensive team. So, I think that the defense and Josh Allen and those great wide receivers can probably carry them. Now, there's going to be times that, like you said earlier on, when those corners shut down those wide receivers, they're going to struggle a little bit offensively, but hopefully the defense can carry them. They're still one of the best teams in the league.
Yeah. It is, it's funny, too, with Josh Allen. He's so talented, Jimmy. When you go back to your career, that you don't want to get in the way of him, but you want to corral him a little. But I think sometimes with Josh Allen, I would just bake in some mistakes, right? I don't want to overcoach him.
Yeah, the problem with Buffalo is they depend so much on Josh Allen. And yesterday, he didn't have a good day. He made a couple of really poor decisions. And so that's going to be a problem when you rely that much on him, because the quarterback's not going to be great every single week. And yesterday was a day he wasn't great. And so they had a problem with the Jets.
Okay, so, I've been pretty critical of Aaron Rodgers through the years, but I would still contend he's great. He's an unbelievable talent. But I had said before the season, listen, you got kids coming from FCS schools in Reno, Nevada. If you don't commit to these guys before the season, this is going to be ugly in season. And so a lot of this stuff feels a little predictable to me. Does it to you?
Yeah, Colin, yeah. We always talk about chemistry, especially with a quarterback and his receivers. Well, that chemistry has got to be built. He knew he was going to have young receivers. That chemistry's got to be built up in the offseason. It's got to be built up in the OTAs. It's got to be built up prior to training camp. A lot of quarterbacks get their receivers and they fly them in and they work out during the summer. Well, that didn't happen with Aaron Rodgers. And so now those receivers are struggling. There's no chemistry. And Aaron Rodgers, I don't care how great he is, if you don't have chemistry and you start pressing, and it looked like to me Aaron Rodgers was pressing yesterday. I've never seen him so upset. Well, I don't know if he was upset at the receivers or he's upset at himself.
Yeah.
But he made 3 really poor throws. I mean, that wasn't on the receiver. That was on Aaron Rodgers. He made some poor throws on those interceptions. But I think he's pressing because of the problems he has in the passing game.
By the way, Dallas now goes to Green Bay, so life's pretty good for Mike McCarthy. He heads up to Lambeau with a healthy team and a lot of momentum, so that's going to be a handful for Aaron. So you know this as well as anybody, is that these billionaire owners, a lot of them look at their teams as toys, right? And, they bought their NFL team for $400 million. It's worth $6 billion, and they want to say. And I look at Indianapolis now, and I always thought it was a rock-solid organization, but they fired Frank Reich this morning, Jimmy. And I got to tell you, like a Sean Payton's out there, I don't know if it's a great job right now. I don't know if it is. What do you make of what's happening?
Well, I think it's a terrible job. I mean, you look at their cap numbers, you look at their players, they don't have a quarterback. You don't have anything to build on right now other than you're going to be a bad team.
Yeah.
So you're going to have some high draft picks. So there's not going to be a quick turnaround there at Indy. It's going to take them a few years. And if you've got an owner like Irsay that is going to be making some decisions, then you got a bigger problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know about Ballard. I don't know how good he is. Evidently, they've made some bad, moves personnel-wise, and so he made some mistakes there. So I think it's a bad job.
Finally, you're one of the great college football coaches of all time, as you well know, and you know how much I love college football, and you do too. So yeah, I've always been I'm a huge fan of Brian Kelly, and sometimes Brian can be a little cringy, but my takeaway is it is hard to rebuild programs. And sometimes you got to be a little bit of a butt. Sometimes you got to break some eggs. But I watched him beat Nick Saban, and I felt when I watched that game, I thought that's why he left Notre Dame. He wanted to face Saban with as many NFL bodies as Saban. Do you know, Brian, what do you make of his quick ascension here at LSU?
Yeah, I don't know him very well. I've met him. But I think you're wrong on one part.
Yeah.
It's not difficult to rebuild an LSU or an Alabama or a Georgia. Now, if you want to rebuild, rebuilding a Wichita State or an Iowa State, that's a tough one. But it's not hard to rebuild LSU.
Look at those athletes. I was so happy for Brian.
Oh, please. Look at all the players in the league, in the NFL, the Jamar Chases, all the great players that came out of LSU. When you've got great talent, you're going to win a lot of games. And if you do a good job of coaching, you're going to beat the good teams.
All right, Jimmy and the Fox NFL crew live from an Air Force base in Qatar on Sunday in honor of the Veterans Day. Veterans Day means a lot here at Fox. Jimmy, I know you love that show. We always appreciate you stopping by. The book behind him is Swagger. It's available in about a week. What's the date today, J-Mac? What is it, like the 7th, 8th? Okay, so we got a week from today. I'm diving into it. David Hyde, great writer. Can't wait for people to read it. Jimmy, you know I love having you on.
Okay, I had college football all day Saturday, 12 hours of pro football. Now I'm going to go halfway around the world and entertain the troops.
Jimmy, great seeing you. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.